Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how do you know if you're doing hypopressives correctly. So I would really advise that you work with a coach so that you know you're doing it correctly, but here are just a few pointers. So if you've had a little look at the breathwork videos and you know that you're getting this 360 breath all the way through the rib cage, you're exhaling, you're holding your breath and doing your rib stretch. If you haven't had a little watch of those videos, have a look back at the beginner series and start there. But for this one, we're just going to go through a few points. So the first point is you should be noticing improvements fairly quickly. So for the women that we work with, we expect them to notice improvements within the first 4 weeks. Some are within the first week or two. Some take slightly longer, but the vast majority of people will notice improvements in those first 4 weeks. The second thing is to make sure that you're not trying to exhale all of the air. I talk about this a lot in some of my videos where I'm talking about misconceptions and myths, but there's a lot of talk about trying to exhale all of the air, even without bearing down, which is very, very difficult to do. But what we're aiming for is to take a nice breath in, breathing all the way through the rib cage, and the exhale is like misting a window. But what you want to do is exhale so that the breath fades away at that same strength rather than increasing the strength to exhale more air. So I'll just give you an example. So you're breathing in all the way through your rib cage, and then you're exhaling. Exhale fades away, ribs are coming back down, and I'm not trying to exhale anymore, which would look like this. So can you see after I pause, there's another phase where I try to push out more air. So you don't need to go beyond that point. So that's really, really important. So that's just another check to just check that you're doing things correctly. The third thing is posture. So you actually want to be really nicely lined up. I'm just going to kneel here just to show you. But basically we want to have the ribs stacked directly above the pelvis. So if you've got an arched position in your back like this, you've got a sway back posture, you need to really be working to bring those ribs down into this position here so everything's nice and stacked. And that's for all the positions. So whether you're in quadruped position or lying down, you've got that nice little curve in your lower back, you've not got a high arch, and that's going to really help that synergy between your pelvic floor and your diaphragm and to help to optimize improvements there. The next thing is, and particularly in the upright poses, so sitting upright, you're going to be looking for feeling a tugging in your throat here, and also a tugging in the top of your tummy. So often you can feel a lift in some of the poses like bridge position, or where you've got your head down, or even in the quadruped position. That's quite a good one for feeling the lift, or diver. But in the upright positions, you should be looking to feel this little tugging here in your throat. And it feels a bit differently for everyone, but if you're not feeling any tugging in your throat, it might be that you need to be taking a slightly bigger breath in just to start off with. Keep that exhale the same without forcing out the air, and then that should help you feel that little tugging. And when you feel it, you kind of know what it is, but initially most people feel like a pulling in around here as you're stretching your ribs a little bit, and you feel that tugging coming in there. The next thing is that you should feel really good after you practice. You shouldn't feel like your body is too stiff. If you feel like you're getting stiffness or any neck tension, then you're probably just holding too much tension in your arms. So just slacken off on the tension and just literally hold your arms in that position. Try to feel the spread between your shoulder blades and at the front of your chest as well, just to feel that real opening through, and that should really help. But essentially it's a very, very calming exercise, and actually a lot of people when they start, particularly just with the floor poses, are sort of feeling like, am I actually doing anything? But you're doing so much for your body and your pelvic floor. It's just so different to what we're kind of trained to think is going to be really beneficial. This is a very, very different, almost counterintuitive way of working to improve your pelvic floor health. And the last thing to say is that if this isn't just about getting the breath work right, which is very, very important because you're just not going to get the improvements otherwise, but it's also about progressing the technique. So for example, if you're just doing it on the floor or just doing it on the floor in a couple of poses, you're not going to get the same improvements as somebody who's using a wide variety of poses as well. And if you are using a wide variety of poses, just be careful not to introduce those too quickly, and to work one-to-one just to get those really, really established, as obviously you're not going to get the support or the feedback if you're trying to learn on your own or in a big group. So that's a really important, and that investment in your time for that beginning part of your hypopressives journey will set you up for life. And then all these videos will be super easy to follow once you've done your 3 months. So that's really how you can tell if you're doing hypopressives correctly. There are some other things to think about as well, but this is just a really brief overview. and hopefully that was helpful.